Bubba just won't come down for company unless he puts his face on first. Here's your look at the NECA Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the ultimate pretty woman, Leatherface. Celebrate the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the classic 1974 slasher film by Tobe Hooper changed horror cinema forever. Own a piece of its history with NECA's ultimate Leatherface 7-inch scale action figure, dressed in his infamous pretty woman mask and dress suit. Leatherface features an articulated tie and alternate jacket piece for a windswept look as he runs into Texas fields chasing his victims. Accessories include interchangeable hands, chainsaw, armadillo, knife, bracelet, small hammer, cleaver, and a plate of meat. Comes in a collector-friendly window box packaging with opening front flap. Pretty sure the only one that gets to say the prayer at the Sawyer dinner table that night is the victim they caught that day. Before that, we get a closer look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Ultimate Pretty Woman. We're going to take the tape measure and we're going to see how tall the figure stands. Now, I ordered this. It's a long story. To make it short, though, I ordered this from GameStop. I ordered it one day, and it arrived a couple of days later. I've had some issues, needless to say, of ordering this figure. If you've followed along this channel, you probably have already heard my issues with ordering this figure, but we're going to push forward anyways, and we're going to grab, like I said, the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. He's pretty tall. He's actually 7 3/4 of an inch in height, and that, works out to be a figure that's about 19 centimeters tall. A little behind reviewing this guy, I know, but here's what the figure looks like with the ultimate Leatherface slaughter mask that we've already had a look at. Now, whereas the slaughter mask did have 2 alternate head portraits, the pretty woman Leatherface only has 1. Too pretty of a head anyways. I feel like you would never really want to change it out. Although certainly changing it out might be an idea you may have after you see the size of what the figures look like compared to the original ultimate Leatherface from NECA. This figure got released, like 5-10 years or so ago. I mean, times have changed, sculpts have changed, and also sculpts have improved. The stuff that we're getting now from NECA certainly casts a shadow on the old days of the original Leatherface. Some still prefer that look to leather, but I like the newer ones that we're getting instead. So, who's hungry? The first thing we'll have a look at that comes included with Leatherface is a plate of unknown origins. Oh great, leftovers again. We got ourselves larger looking sausages, smaller looking links, and I don't even know what exactly that is. Is that rice pilaf? I don't think we're going to be serving rice pilaf at the Sawyer household. There's no plate at all. Well, there's no dinner table necessarily to have the plate sitting on top of. I always keep kind of saying these things in these reviews. I know I kind of started the review with actually having this in Sawyer's hand, spinning when he was on the rotisserie. In the end, though, I don't think I'm going to have a place really to store this, again, unknown meat selection. I'm probably just going to be ultimately putting it back in the tray. But, again, it's a nice accessory. Speaking of leftovers, though, the figure does actually have a few carried over accessories that were already packed with the original Ultimate Leatherface. Like, for example, the following. The figure has knife to knife. This is the one from the Pretty Woman. And this is the one from the Slaughter Mask. I called it the Slaughter Mask, the original 74 Leatherface. You can see the knives are identical to one another. I mean, you could probably nickel and dime this and look at one and to the other and say, okay, well, the paint's a little bit more. Come on, reviewer. The paint's a little bit more dirty or brown on this one and maybe not as much on this one. I don't know. Again, they look exactly the same. What also looks exactly the same, though, are the hammers. This was the original Slaughter Mask release. This is the Pretty Woman Leatherface. I mean, again, identical. Safe to say. Squint if you want. I mean, I think the details are exactly the same. The figure also comes included with the same cleaver. There's the cleaver from the Pretty Woman. Here's the cleaver from the other Leatherface. Now, to be a collector and gets, I would not want to go to my way and get all the other Leatherfaces, like the Ultimate Leatherfaces. So let's just say, I've already gotten that Leatherface, which I have. I've now gotten myself the Pretty Woman. I think based on that, I would like to see a variety. You go to the buffet, you're not hopefully always going to be picking the same thing on your platter. Again, if they're going to be releasing, multiple figures like this, you'd like to think that maybe they could use the plastic and dedicate accessories specific to one figure over the other. So again, you're not just getting one figure, you're getting leftovers both times. So again, like the cleavers are the same, the knives are the same, the hammers are the same. What isn't the same, though, the figure does come included with an armadillo. Cute little armadillo. I don't know what I would actually call an armadillo if I had him as a pet. Would it be a difficult thing to train an armadillo? Like, would it use a litter box like a cat? Would you be able to pet an armadillo? Would it always just roll into a ball? If he rolls into a ball, don't throw him. Don't roll him down the stairs. I mean, you treat these things like animals. Obviously, you got to be careful with an armadillo. I guess you probably could also put a little hat on him as well. I know we're spending a whole lot of time talking about an armadillo. I probably would also call him Willard. Willard. Yeah, I know you're probably usually thinking of rodents when you think of Willard. I would call Willard the armadillo. Maybe a good little armadillo. I'd train him to use the litter box, whether armadillos are meant to use the litter box or not. We've seen a couple of actually armadillos over the franchise of the Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. We get a couple of run-over armadillos. You know, again, that's probably an armadillo that wasn't trained properly, at least not one to cross the street. But yeah, the coloring is pretty good on this one. I mean, it starts sort of more the darker gray that you can see like on his padding here. And then they probably would have brushed over top of it 2 colors. So you got gray for its underbelly and its face. Cute little Willard. And then the top was maybe a little bit more of a, I don't know, like more of a brownish gray. It's got no posability at all. I mean, I don't want to spend an entire review just kind of talking to how cute this armadillo is. So instead, let's just put it over here. The figure does also come included with this chainsaw. Now, in the film, it uses a Poland 306A chainsaw, even though they tried their best to kind of mask that with tape. If we bring in the one that we got before, I would have probably said carryover accessories. But one thing at least is different, though, is that you can see that on the slaughtering version, he certainly has been doing that. There's a lot more blood on the blades, where the one that we get for the Leatherface, the Pretty Woman Leatherface, looks like he's been polishing this bad boy, shining it nice for dinner. I know some have commented, though, that the handle on the side isn't in the right place. Now, I looked online for the Poland 306 chainsaw, and it seems like the handle is supposed to be on the side. It's not supposed to be on the top. Plus, too, that this is the area that they would have taped off. The pull is on the back. You can't obviously pull that off. It's a pretty clean-looking chainsaw. I mean, again, like, I'm not disappointed at all that they used the exact same mold. From what I can see from my own eyes, they seem to be exactly the same mold. Again, just choose which one you would like to have displayed. Lastly, the figure does come included with, well, I shouldn't say lastly, he also has a dinner jacket too. 2 types of dinner jackets. The figure does also have a couple of gripping hands. So good for holding the chainsaw. Good for, of course, holding the hammer or the cleaver, anything you really would want to do. I mean, right in the end, he's not going to be doing much of anything. The figure does already have relaxed hands. But let's just say you're the kind of person that likes the figure displayed with something. Yeah, I can agree with that. Let's go ahead and just detach one hand, put the new hand in place. We'll do the same thing on this side as well. Now, you have to really be careful on this side of the figure's body because the bracelet that he has is removable. I really feel in a case like this, they probably should have just glued it to his wrists. It actually doesn't seem like it's, well, if I was to pull this off, probably a bad idea on my part. It almost does actually look like it's made of string and not like plastic. But carefully, though, just putting it back onto his wrist. Every time I do this, what do I always end up doing? It drops onto the floor. Not this time, Black Hole. Not this time. So we're just going to go ahead and plug that back in place. Then, of course, if you want to have the figure displayed with the chainsaw, let's go grab the chainsaw off to the side. Just widen the grip from the hand. At least the plastic is soft enough. Just get the chainsaw handle in one side. Speaking of handles, by the way, though, as well, this one's not so bad of an issue. This one right here, this little piece right here, is a very thin plastic. Putting pressure against it, you can see how easily it squishes. Doesn't make that noise. I don't even know what noise that really was. Then take the other hand, on the other hand, and we'll just wrap that around the handle of the chainsaw. Again, like the handle material for plastic-wise is pretty thin, so you just want to be kind of careful with that. Now, he's not going to be waving it over top of his head. I might just leave that for the end of this review. But you can see, like, he holds the chainsaw pretty well. I wouldn't say, like, the Blizzard test. I mean, clearly a chainsaw like this isn't going to be going anywhere. Yeah, that's what he looks like with it. So let's go ahead and just take that off. The last thing the figure does come included with is a swappable dinner jacket. What? So right now, as you can see, he's got more straight on one side. It slightly curves out on the other. If you want it billowed on both sides, is that the correct wording of billowing? Billowing? If you want it both on both sides, you basically would have this swappable torso piece. It's very soft plastic. Basically, all that's really required is you take the arms off here. So you just yank off one. Oh, by the way, before we do that, though, you guys, full gander, full look at the jacket from front and back. Nice looking jacket. Anyways, though, we're going to go ahead and just detach his arms. Sort of a precursor to what we saw in the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre where he loses his arm. Yeah, and yet missed opportunity. We never got a follow-up film where Leatherface just had a robotic chainsaw arm. It's not strange to think that. I mean, obviously Matthew McConaughey in Next Generation. Oh, man, I hope we get ourselves drag Leatherface. Anyways, Matthew McConaughey did have somewhat of a robotic arm, a robotic leg that he controlled with TV remotes. It would be off to think that maybe Leatherface could have had a robotic chainsaw arm. Missed opportunity. Anyways, though, one thing actually I do want to mention, too, is that the tie is posable. They advertise that on the packaging like that's a thing. I mean, I don't know how posable it really is. It could possibly be pegged in place. Sorry for spitting on everybody. Technically, I would imagine it would be swiveling back and forth. I don't know how long that's going to last, though. Sure, it moves to the side, but when you move it to the side, it only just really ends up going back home anyways. Sort of the story of Sawyer anyways. So let's just take the jacket. Yeah, we'll put it over top of his torso like that. And I guess really, too, when you look at the torsos, not that much different really from the Slaughter version of Sawyer. So let's go ahead and just put his arms back the way that we found them. They basically just plug in place, so there's a hole right there. And we'll do it on one side. I want to make sure it's all the way on there, too, because, I mean, if not for that, it's going to make things quite difficult when it comes to posability on him. Plug that all the way in there, and we'll do, of course, the same thing on the other side. Show us the face! I know, we'll get to that in a second. I just want to make sure I got that all the way on there. It would be so embarrassing. Could you imagine if the arms didn't pop off? We don't want that to happen. There we go. Okay, it's all the way on there. So again, like if you look at the jacket, I mean, really, is it really that much different? It sticks out only just a little bit. I feel like they probably could have maybe had it back a little bit further. I don't know. Like, it just seems like it's not that much different, really. For the face on Leatherface, the Pretty Woman certainly is a personal favorite of mine. I would actually have just preferred if he looked like this for the majority of the film. I know a lot of people really like the OG look a lot more. I mean, there's obviously the newer head sculpt. I'm not going to bring back the original Leatherface just because, again, I feel it's an inferior sculpt. I know a lot of people think that the original one is a little bit more accurate to the film. I really certainly do think that the Slaughter version, the new one that we get, is so much nicer. Now, I'm actually choosing to go with the head sculpt where you can't see his eyes. You really can't see his eyes either on this one either. Now, he does have the blush on the side. Certainly getting into makeup would never be really his calling. Could you imagine this guy trying to apply makeup on anybody's face? I think he'd spend most of the time trying to cut off your face. But he's got the lipstick there all across the front of his face. Reminds me of that Family Guy clip. Is it Ronald McDonald's daughter's going out? He makes some crude comment about his daughter going out. I'm not going to retell you guys what it is. But if you've seen the clip, you know. Ronald McDonald, his daughter's going out for the night. Anyways, makeup, though, all across the front of his face. He's got some eyeshadow there as well. You know, I joke about the application of makeup. If I was to apply makeup on my own face, which I'll tell you right away, I'm not doing that. I think I'd probably just do as good of a job as what Leatherface is doing right now. Stitches look nice along the top of his head. He's also got some, again, stitches along the top of his eye area there as well. It's a really good looking head sculpt. You know, obviously he's going to have a little bit more hair on the back of his head versus the original one. As you can see, he's got a little bit of a different hairstyle. But, you know, personally, maybe it is probably a good thing that we don't get the Pretty Woman Leatherface till like the end of the film. It kind of makes its significance mean a little bit more. For the rest of the figure's body, if we were to move away his apron, the legs look like they're probably sharing the exact same mold. Looks like also his footwear remains the same too. And the figure does have peg holes on the bottoms of his feet. For Leatherface, the Pretty Woman release of him, his articulation is that the figure does have a ball joint. It's really hard, though, to be able to rotate the head all the way around. In theory, though, it does. Although the difficulty is obviously there, just the fact that there's so much hair. And of course, he's got the shoulders, he's got the collar. There's a lot of things getting in the way of being able to do that. Head looks up and looks down. I mean, that's as high up as it really does look. That looks as low down as it can possibly go. And the head does rotate back or hinge back and forth as well. Upper torso is going to be on a pretty decent ball joint. Again, advertised that the tie is articulate. Again, I don't know. It's only really just suggested more than anything else. It's a selling marketing thing just to tell you that a tie is articulated until somebody decides to do that one day, and then the tie breaks off. And then probably in like fine print it says, no, don't move the tie that far. As for his arms, the arms will rotate all the way around. They get a little hung up just because there's additional plastic on the sides for the shoulder areas here. And of course his arms come out at 90 degrees. There is no swivel here. However, there's a swivel here. There's a swivel back and forth. There's a hinge right here, so you can bend the elbow back and forth. The hands do rotate all the way around. Just again, changing out the hand on this side. Watch you don't lose the bracelet. Whoosh, hasn't happened to me yet. Now that I've jinxed myself. Legs split out about that far, everybody. And of course, would you believe his legs go about that far forward and about that far back? Yeah, you know, Leatherface still has a pretty flat behind. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you guys all that. Swivel at the top of the thigh. The figure does have a single hinge only in his knee. The lower leg does rotate back and forth. Ankle rock up and down. Ankle, I guess that would be ankle pivot up and down. Ankle rocker goes this way. Yeah, it's a good-looking Leatherface. If really the choice, it'd be hard-pressed for me to make one choice over the other. I like the look of Leatherfaces for two different reasons. I just like the makeup application on the Pretty Woman Leatherface. There's something a little bit more eerier about the look of Pretty Woman over the Slaughter mask. Yet I can certainly understand why people still like the OG look to Leatherface. Whether, though, we will be getting ourselves a drag Leatherface, I mean, let's face facts, I'm probably the only person in existence that actually liked the look of drag Leatherface. This is still drag Leatherface, but he's keeping it somewhat decent and proper down below. The figure does have, well, having similar accessories. I mean, he basically has 4 carried over ones that this figure already had. You know, I really wish that the figure maybe could have had some other things that weren't already released with the Slaughter mask. But then, you know, you have to also think of the other end of it. Let's just say you're a collector that only likes this look of Leatherface. Has no interest at all to get this one because they maybe like the original look of Leatherface. If they only get this figure, then at least they're getting 4 accessories for the first time ever. I have to kind of look at that way. I mean, obviously, I'm a collector that likes to get anything that's Leatherface, but you may be a selective person that's only interested in one. For that reason, if given the choice, I would certainly say pick up the Pretty Woman Leatherface. It's a personal favorite of mine, and I'm certainly glad that we did get ourselves one because, you know, really, the last time we got ourselves the Pretty Woman Leatherface from NECA, well, there was the retro cloth release of him, but if you're predating even further back from that, it would have been the NECA Cult Classic days. A figure that I had seen at one point in a comic book store. I mean, we're talking like, I want to say even like 10 to 12 years ago. And it was selling at that time for around $56. Maybe it was like mid 50s or so. Not that it really matters. It was over $50. I passed my chance on getting it then. Kind of regret it now. I know it's a more limited figure. I mean, it doesn't do really what this guy now does, but it still certainly is probably the prime time of collecting cult classics. I love collecting cult classic figures. Certainly, though, I mean, far stretch. We get a much better sculpt here. We got much better articulation. Yeah, 2 good-looking Leatherfaces separated by a little bit of time between the time that I had a chance to look at this one and now reviewing this one. But it was certainly, I hope, well worth the wait. It's a nice-looking Pretty Woman Leatherface. Well, at least Sally is safe. Although the movie makes no mention of the Good Samaritan that pulls over the first time to try to help the girl out. Sure enough, he hops out of the truck and they're both pursued by Leatherface. The pickup truck, sure enough, pulls around and she hops onto the flatbed. But then when it ends up happening to this other guy, we sort of just see him running off screen. Are we just assuming he's going back to the Sawyer homestead? If that's the case, I'm sure dinner's back on. In the end, though, I've got Leatherface displayed with Willard, the tiny little armadillo. Don't worry, I don't think he has any interest in eating armadillos. That's not on his menu. I've got the figure right now displayed, obviously with chainsaw over his head. One of the ways that you can display the figure, one of the other ways that you can display him too, is with an alternate jacket piece. Yeah, I don't really get the jacket, to be all honest. I mean, I'm looking at the one that I changed him out to, and I'm still looking at the one that's over on the studio table here. I can't really see a difference. If there is, I'm sure I'm probably missing it. It would be different if one was completely just flat and then maybe had the other one was slightly sculpted out to the side. But they look almost identical. I almost just feel like it was a waste of plastic to include 2 accessories. I'm not necessarily like, if we had only gotten just the jacket you're seeing right now, I wouldn't be thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, you know, that's a nice looking Leatherface. But you know what would make this Leatherface even better? If he had an alternate jacket piece. Yeah, you're thinking the same, right? No, I wasn't thinking that at all. What I'm thinking, though, is I'm glad we finally have a fully articulated Leatherface because, again, like the only other one that we've gotten from NECA was the retro cloth. I know some people don't dig the look of retro cloth figures. And even predating that, even further back in time, there was also the Cult Classic release of him, which had, like, next to no posability at all. I would be safe to assume that if you've already collected the 50th anniversary Slaughter Mask Leatherface, you're probably already either picked this guy up already and added it to your collection, or it's probably one that's already on your radar. Now, again, I'm not going to bore you guys with the circumstances. I know Sally had a more horrible ordeal, but I had quite the day trying to get my hands on one of these. Like I said, I did end up ordering this one from GameStop, and I was really surprised. I ordered it one day, and it was like 2 days later, it was already at my post office. I'm not going to say that that's going to be the case with everybody. It's only the case of the person behind the camera. What do you guys think of Pretty Woman Leatherface? Let me know down below in the comment section, whether you've had the chance already to get this guy, or whether he's already on your radar. If you've also picked this one up, let me know. You don't even have to have picked this one. Between this one and the original 50th anniversary Leatherface, which do you think is the better looking figure? Let me know. If you guys did also enjoy this video, do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Thank you. I hope so. Hit that subscribe Of course, turn on that bell. And if you guys need also a fix for Leatherface, popping up at the very end of this video will not only be playlists for NECA, but also other playlists of Leatherface reviews that I've done in the past. A lot more videos going to be coming away for the rest of this week. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.